Welcome everyone to a special wrap up. It's New Year's, we're days away, and I cannot think of a better person to do a recap because we are our mission and vision within Powerful Women today for Simone and I could not be at the right time of history on the right side of history. So, needless to say, let's get to it.
Empowering women on a global scale. Welcome to Powerful Women Today with Carolina Billings. Powerful Women Today is on a mission of inclusion, rewriting his story to include her story, and empowering, raising, and amplifying women's voices with professional speaking, publishing, original podcasting, and web TV. And now here's your host, the founder of Powerful Women Today, Carolina Billings.
Welcome everyone. Hopefully your holidays are going amazing and we are close to finally putting an end to the year that wouldn't end. So we're days away from New Year's. We have the incredible Simone Sloan with us, our mentor expert from New York, New Jersey, and we're going to just wrap it up, lady. Tell us.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us.
As I look back at 2021 and what I saw personally from people and professionals who showed up, really reevaluating who they are, their purpose, their space, the impact that they wanted to make, and being courageous.
That's right.
Meaning.
That's right. We had our Christmas wrap up with Rosanna Lamana and with Marlene Doss, and the hashtags. And these are two powerful ladies, partners, lawyers, accountant partners at the bigger cities. And it was so powerful to hear Rosanna. At the end of the day, I coined a hashtag for her, which is family first.
Yeah.
And that was just so powerful to hear from career women, right? It's like being forced to reconnect with your children. And I hate to say being forced to, but really, to rearrange your schedule.
Absolutely.
I think it almost gave people the opportunity to remember what they're missing,
Yes.
And when you say reevaluate priorities, definitely hashtag family first. And and also what you said, courage. We have our upcoming publication, which you're one of the authors, 30 Days to Courage, because if anything, women, we now know beyond shadow of a doubt, we are the glue, we are essential. And I cannot begin to tell you how great women are, but
you're speaking to the choir.
Right? But that being said, there's still plenty of us that may excel one area of our life, or that area of our life, that success has come with huge sacrifices, personal and professional, and perhaps it is that little nudge of courage to take it to the next level, to create new boundaries, new.
But what I look at too is the courage just to say, hey, this is not working. And to even reevaluate, just reflect and reevaluate on what is and what is not working.
And the courage of many women to say, no, I'm not going back to 9 to 5 on someone else's schedule, and it's my time. You know what I mean? It's my time.
But being very vocal about it too. Right. And I think that is also the speaking up and advocating for self, which becomes even more powerful for that realization to take place.
For me, one of the biggest takeaways, and I know you and I are extremely passionate about DEI. We're going to talk about, not only our takeaway, but I actually want us to own our efforts. You know what I mean? Like, I want the world to know that, you and I come to women of power powerful women that do not need to work together. We choose to work together. We want to work together to achieve the goals for our DEI community, and coming from truly our literal DNA, that we want to share, our journey, and we want to share what's possible,
Yeah.
but one of the biggest takeaways for me at a personal level, before we go to DEI, because once we get started, there's not so
I
much
love
to
it.
at the personal level. I think the biggest takeaway that I am walking away this year is the importance of legacy.
Mm,
Is, we've learned in the last 18 months how everything can change like that, how vulnerable we are as humans, as carbon existences, and the importance of building a legacy bigger than yourself,
absolutely. Yeah.
and making sure that if, for God forbid, your grandchildren are not here to know you, that you leave a body of legacy that is tangible for future generations. And in the arena of empowerment, whether for whatever reason, today is not the day to try to figure to unwrap that little pocket. I was not taught empowerment as I
Mm,
was growing up, right? And I had to learn it on my own, and I had to learn it, I wouldn't say the hard way, but I was lucky that I was able to have teachers that came along the way, and I was able to grab onto that. But there's still today too many women who are not having that role model that is touchable. That they're not having that role model that is relatable,
mhm,
that is passing on that legacy of empowerment.
absolutely.
And so all the women that have survived and come out stronger out of challenges, let it be your legacy and your duty to share it. Because that might be the light that someone is hoping for, and that ends the isolation for a woman of any generation, right?
Absolutely.
All over the
Absolutely.
world.
I think no, I think you hit on some really interesting topics around that, the legacy and passing of the baton, but
Yeah,
also not keeping those stories, hidden.
that's
Let's
right.
let's talk about them. Let's celebrate them, right? And it's not a shaming. It's an opportunity to those micro learnings is what I call it as part of our
Yeah, love it. Instead of microaggressions, move them aside. Let's focus on the micro learning. And you know what? This is why we've come up with our 30 days to, series of publications, right? So that they're little, they're bite sized, that give the context, but also give you a challenge for you to try out. Try it for size, right? And especially now that in this is not, you know, just for women and isolating women. To the contrary, how many single dads there are that they may be fathers of daughters, that they may not know how to have these conversations with them,
absolutely,
right?
and they
And
hold the key.
that's right. And here is their opportunity to find a way to share conversations and such. So I'm really excited about all of our publications. We're looking at about 3 house anthologies coming up next year.
That's
And such
amazing.
research. I know, and you're like right in there with all of them. I know you're in 30 Days to Courage coming up March. I believe it's March 2022. That's when we're scheduled to launch. But let's speak on your personal takeaway was reevaluation of values, and what
Yeah,
else at
it
a
was
personal
no,
level.
that was yeah, and around the values piece was really important, to me, and kind of
Mhm.
looking at that shift of what's really important. But also for me, it's not just having them, but really, um, embodying it,
Mhm.
which is something that was very important as well, because it's not just to
It's
say
not
it.
an abstract. It's a contact sport.
Absolutely,
You know
absolutely.
what I mean? Like, and yeah, is I think as we wrap up this year, um, I'm big on symbolism and tradition, and I love it when you get to shed a skin, when you've squeezed all the juice out of the person that was that version of you, and you're ready to level up, right, and to be a novice again,
Right.
and to learn, and just back to optimism and back to what matters.
Absolutely. I think my word as part of that is the rejuvenation and self-care
Hmm.
part of this process, because I think that, we can work ourselves to death and
Hmm.
very transactional about things, but if we're not giving back to ourselves or feeding or nourishing, no one else is going to do it for you.
I
So
know, that's right. Actually, Jordan Peterson says, take care of yourself as you would take care of someone you love, right? And I know it's obvious, but if we were actually taking care of someone we love, right, like we love, like our children, like our family, and even our pets, I mean, how loving are you to, like, pets in North America, I tell you, right, it's like, they even have their own advent calendar for goodness sake. But we need to begin to take care of ourselves
yeah.
in that manner, right? Especially women leaders. There's no great badge that says, I'm going to drop dead out of exhaustion because I didn't take care of myself. That's not the kind of badge you want.
No.
So speaking of that, I'm going to jump into DEI,
Let's
because
talk about it.
DEI is what brought us together, and I am so happy it did.
Yeah.
Is I there's one thing about living the experience, but then there's the few of us that actually thrive in the experience, right? It's like we enjoy it. We enjoy representing, that minority that is the little engine that could. And so I want to share something super exciting, that I just got to experience, and most of all, I got to be a catalyst for it. And that was our recent summit. Our Global Women Empowerment Summit is something that Powerful Women Today does every single year, and it's always, between November 25th and December the 10th, and it's a big thing. Each year is bigger because that's just, go big or go home. But what was super exciting about this year is when I started Powerful Women Today, God, it seems like 500 years ago, but it was about 10 years ago. The very first conference that we put together, right? It was just, we did not know what we did not know, and we were like just trying to get started and excited and stuff. And so we had this like incredible panel of speakers, and we all brought something different, but visually we all look alike, I guess, right? And I remember someone sending me an email and saying, your event, you may experience a little bit more success in your events if you brought a bit of diversity to it,
Mhm.
right? And I remember it felt like a splash of like icy water, right? Because in my mind, I am Hispanic. There were people in there of Jewish descent. There were people in there from like, new Canadians. And it actually opened up a great conversation that was, what is diversity? Right? You can have fifth generation Canadians that look different, but really we're just fifth generation Canadians. There's not a hell of a lot of diversity happening there. So it just opened up that whole concept. So we just wrapped up our Global Women Empowerment Summit version, 10. It was a huge success. There were 2,713
Woo!
registrations
Awesome.
in the top 3 talks, because people vote on the talks. Top 3 were women of color.
That's amazing.
And we had, like, talk about the podium, the whole podium was BIPOC, right? And we had so much participation from diversity. We had young people, we had people from all over the place, we had couples, we had single, we had, you name it,
Yeah,
someone showed up. And it wasn't us having to tap on their shoulders, it was them showing up.
that's great.
And
That's
you know what? I was just so excited, right? Because usually people tend to bring down diversity to skin color, and
so I
so
think
much
yeah, I
bigger
think
than
that's
that.
one piece, but optically, to your point when you're talking about, well, what is diversity? I think that there is a need to see something optically, right?
Mhm.
As part of that. But
That's
yes,
the easy out.
but we know that there's so many dimensions of that. And
Mhm.
that's where I say that how do we get to see, I got all the juicy things of what makes us as human beings, right?
Mhm.
Because if we are just look at the surface, one dimensionally, that you already made judgments and assumptions on that one piece, and you've not delved in deeper.
That's right. You're still not seeing the individual. If you bring it down to just one dimension of it, you're still not seeing the individual. And
You're
so
missing out. What are you talking? You're missing out because there's
that's
all
right.
these things.
Absolutely. So you know what? I am so proud of how far we've come. And you have been such a big champion of it. And not because we're both Caribbean, we're both our ancestry comes funny, we both come from relatively same place of the world. It's because of the passion and the responsibility
Really,
and the
absolutely.
need to serve and the need to pass it on. And I cannot wait for what's coming up next year and how we're finding ways. I know within our coaching, we actually have a whole section, a whole elective on,
Yes,
with your authorship, with your stamp on it, that
absolutely.
that specializes on making sure you understand diversity and inclusion as a practitioner, right? And as an executive and as a career professional. And that translate, those skills are transferable. That will alter how you relate with everyone.
Absolutely. It's how do we build those deeper understandings, right, with others? And I think that's the key messaging at the underlying foundational elements. How do we bridge and how do we build deeper understandings for others? Because we work, we live, we breathe with
Mhm.
people, and they're so dynamic in terms of how they show up. And so I think too, in terms of that patience, understanding, curiosity, asking
Mhm.
questions, knowing when to kind of leave
Question.
it alone. But at the end of the day, we are social beings. We need to collaborate, connect, communicate, and the more that we can do that effectively with deeper understandings, inclusive language, behaviors, how we show up and lead, those are the really important parts of it. About it.
How we show up and lead. And, I am so grateful. I know it's come at a very heavy price, but I am so grateful that our pandemic has caused such a shock. Talk about a disruptor. Talk about, we did a course correction that may have, if we had been lucky, taken 10, 20 years for it to be accepted, right, by the forces that have vested interest in it not changing. and
Absolutely.
then and then the universe came in and said, no, we're doing it today, we're doing it by 2 o'clock, and get on, or
Absolutely.
get left behind.
And I think it comes full circle to what I was saying around human beings and how we showed up in that, right? There was this resistance, emotions, right?
Mhm,
Fear.
mhm,
But I also saw how that transformation took place because we all got messy together. And
mhm.
in that messiness, we learned and co-created and innovated to something that it's there's no finish line, right? Because we're still in
No,
it.
that's right.
We're evolving and we're kind of like, okay, I don't mind getting puddles in my face. I don't mind getting thorns stuck here, but it's a learning process, right? I
But
think
you
that's
see, this year, um, the latter part of this year, I've really seen a change. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, like even on social discourse, even in business, um, with all due respect and lack of sophistication, it just really seems that everyone's cutting out the crap. Is the crap meter, right? It's like when someone begins to go on a rant, like that is what
is it serving, how is it serving us, right? How is it and it comes back down to those values,
right.
perspective, and
And the pushback. And I think is really, really, we now have two sides of the conversation. And the other side, the side that wasn't used to being heard, and the side that just, you know what, they stopped speaking because they knew better than to waste their time, right? Now are going, okay, so we'll try again. You know what I mean? It's almost like all of these beautiful, they used to say that if you excluded women, you were missing out 50% of the talent in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you are excluding those not like you, you are missing out on that many more talent in the world, right?
Absolutely.
And in that talent that hasn't been recognized, or that we just have not made room for,
Acknowledged. How about acknowledged and championed and celebrated?
and honored, they're giving us a second chance, right?
Yeah.
Like they are beginning to let down their guard. They're beginning to trust,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they got plenty. We've got, and I don't want to say they and them, and we as a representative of something that's different, we have a lot to be distrustful about, right? So as we begin to let down our guard, so my ask is, when you all of a sudden see people that normally were not speaking, people that all of a sudden, are speaking their truth, sharing their logos, right? That you respect that trust, and that you do meet them halfway. You don't need to save me. I will save myself. All I need is the space to do so in a way that I know how, right?
Absolutely. And so as we end 2021, I would say I'm going to be grateful for community.
Yes.
My tribe, those who have supported, those especially during this, when the energy levels were up, down, and in between, and they showed up, showed out, and were there. So that's what I'm grateful for this year.
And I am grateful for showing up, and for those who show up, and I'm grateful for the fight, if that makes any sense, because nothing good comes easy. If you start knowing that you got this, like there's confidence, and then there's, predictable outcome, right? And to live a life where you already know how it ends, what's the point of reading that book or watching the movie, right? Like, so I am grateful.
That's where the resiliency and the grit comes in, right?
That's right. So I am grateful for the fight, and I am grateful for this brave new world that makes it okay for people like me that show up as we are, and to have a chance at it. And so thank you, absolutely, everyone, for an incredible year, a year when many people, for 2 months, 2 years, it feels like 2 decades, that people chose, to hide and to play small. I'm grateful that Powerful Women Today saw an expansion beyond my wildest dreams, in the speed that it happened, at the rate that it happened, and with the quality of hearts and minds that it happened with. So thank you, everybody. I hope you have a fabulous end of 2021. And we have quite the schedule for 2022. So let's get ready to win. So Happy New Year. And I hope you have a fabulous New Year's, Simone. And I wish you and your family and all of our friends and families, their extended families, may all your wishes come true. Thank you. And we will see you in the new year. Bye.
Empowering women on a global scale. This has been Powerful Women Today with Carolina Billings. To learn more about how you can join and transform your life and the lives of women everywhere with professional speaking, publishing, podcasting, and web TV, visit powerfulwomentoday.com. Remember to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you like to listen and watch your podcasts.